Hi, I'm Karen, and I lead the software development team at ProServe IT.
Hello, I'm Alfaro, and I support the software development initiatives at ProServe IT.
Okay, we're really excited to be following up with our second video in our series, Unlocking Software Dev. So to recap, in the first video, we shared how software dev is about solving problems in a creative way and how technology is being leveraged to help make things easier, move faster, more efficient, and in some situations, safer. So today, Alfaro and I are going to follow up on the point we made about just needing to start somewhere from the first video. It can be overwhelming. One size doesn't fit all. And we're going to use our time together with you today to break down software dev in what are the options. And we thought using the analogy of buying a car as a fun way to help think about the software journey. So let's jump right in. Alfaro, we've conducted hundreds of discovery sessions with our customers. And as part of those discussions, we were able to figure out whether on one end of the spectrum and out of the box, solution will do, or whether going down the path of creating an application from scratch is the right answer on the other end of the spectrum. Of course, there's so many options in between with customization, automation, and integration. So, Alfaro, how would you relate this to buying a car?
Yes, Karen, that's a very interesting analogy to use. As as we all very well know, there are consumers out there for whom a vehicle off the lot is just sufficient for their needs, and there's so many options out there that just going through the makes, the models, the body types, and the price points available, and the safety ratings is just sufficient. Once a consumer or a customer goes through the options, selects the vehicle that has the most of the features that they're looking for at the price point that they want, they're happy to just walk into the dealer and drive it off the lot.
Mm-hmm.
On the other end of the spectrum, we do find that there are uh, drivers out there who have very highly specialized needs for which none of the vehicles that are produced meet their needs. And as you have rightly mentioned, there are options in between. So the same applies in the software world as well. There are many software products out there that are trying to help businesses accomplish their objectives. Some businesses, the nature of their business is can and their needs can be met by just picking a software product off the shelf, while some businesses have very unique needs and very unique operations that require a custom build solution.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to customization, why would anyone want to invest in that? I mean, there's so many software products out there trying to solve the same business problems. Why would anyone need something more than what's already out there?
A very important question to ask, Karen. We challenge our customers to ask that question, and we challenge ourselves to ask that question and introspectively answer that question for ourselves. But just like when somebody would go and drive into a lot, buy a vehicle, and take it to a body shop, change the coat of paint, change the interior design, change the body shape, add a spoiler, or even buy a commercial vehicle off the lot and take it to a body shop to customize it so that it meets their specific business requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as an example, a refrigerated delivery truck could go through a similar buying process. So it is with the software world as well. There are situations where somebody would need to buy a product off the lot, some customizations or enhancements added to it.
Yeah, I mean, keeping with the car analogy, I would have thought that the customizations would be like going to a dealer's website. And when you select the car and then you go through and can pick the different options like car packages that you want.
See, and that's what actually makes it very interesting because there are platforms out there like Microsoft Dynamics CRM where you can purchase the base software platform
Yeah.
and also purchase add-on modules, add-on licenses like the sales module, marketing module, operations module, and mix and to match to the needs of the business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But even then, there are times where after doing all that and after going through that process, the needs of the business are not quite met. There is potentially a 20% gap or a 10% gap that the business considers critical enough that it needs to be augmented by a customization layered on top of the platform.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, earlier you mentioned a body shop. And so when you're saying the work we do for an out-of-the-box platform would be equivalent to taking your car to a body shop, and we're that body shop. That distinction is very helpful and makes a lot of sense. I mean, these platforms and modules come with abundance of built-in functionality and features and predefined workflows. Sometimes it just doesn't align 100% with how a business does business and their operational culture. I know that we've seen some examples of, when you want to do these customizations can be things like changing the order of a workflow or changing a step that's in a predefined workflow, or maybe even creating a brand new workflow. So I'd like to let's talk about integration. I mean, we hear and work with customers that are using different systems and want these systems to be unified, which can mean that maybe the recommendation is finding a new system that combines or provides all the key features that the customer needs. Or since there's been a significant investment made in these disparate systems, which is a more likely scenario, we just need them to talk to each other. Another option to help unify is to unify the data so that the data that's generated from the multiple systems is moved to a single source of truth. And we talked about that in the first video. The other piece I wanted to talk about was automation, which is the other piece I wanted to talk about was automation. Very powerful and so much simpler with the advancements made in the Power Platform from Microsoft as an example. Think about automation in terms of digitizing a manual or paper-based process using workflow tools. A great example of this is our Office Capacity Manager, where requests to reserve a spot in the office and the approval process has been automated. In another session, we'll go deeper into these examples. Alfaro, I want to jump back to the car analogy, and this time I want to talk about creation. So again, same question. Why would anyone want to invest in creation? Building something from scratch. I mean, there's so many software products out there trying to solve the same business problems. Why would anyone need something more than anything that is already out there?
A good question. And like I mentioned earlier, we challenge ourselves by asking that question and asking our customers that question. Like I mentioned earlier, if we using the car analogy, if we look at the case of race car drivers, there is no mass-produced vehicle out there that would meet the unique needs of each race car driver.
Yeah.
And in addition, the competitive advantage that each race car driver needs is tied to the vehicle that they are driving. So they would need someone who understands their unique needs and who is able to incorporate the competitive advantage into the vehicle, because this particular use case, the goal and the objective is to win the race.
Exactly.
Same thing in the business world. There are cases where the competitive advantage or the intellectual property is the critical component that has to be incorporated in the software. And hence, in those cases, it makes sense to build something from scratch.
Yeah, a couple of examples do come to mind. I mean, we had a customer that needed an online platform to manage their product offering, and there was nothing off the shelf that met their needs. And what they needed was, kind of behind the scenes, there were complex calculations that were executed, depended on predefined criteria that was collected from either the customer or they were specs that were collected by sales or agents in the field. I mean, the ability to complete these complex calculations, trigger a workflow, and close a deal was not only a differentiator for them in their industry, but also allowed them to scale by dropping manual intervention, improve the quality of the deliverable, and allow for timely execution. So we're about to wrap up, but before we wrap up, we need to talk a little bit about maintenance. Alfaro, I mean, car maintenance, software maintenance, it's like, meeting that oil change or that red light is on.
Absolutely. And just every vehicle, whether bought off the line from scratch, requires and needs maintenance in order to function properly. Same thing with our investments in our software platforms. We need to ensure that we understand there are things that we can take care of ourselves, just like a vehicle comes with an owner's manual and there are certain operations, maintenance operations that the owner can do. And then there are things that you have to take the vehicle to a maintenance shop to get taken care of. In that way, businesses need to consider partnering with an organization that understands their business processes and their operational requirements well enough to be able to keep their investments optimized to serve their needs.
Right. And so for software dev, as you mentioned, I mean, it's all about what can we do to monitor the health of the application. Downtime is dollars. So, and always an important consideration. So at ProServe IT, based on our experience, we've come up with a tiered support offering to meet the needs of any organization we work with. So like your car, the applications become a key reflection of your brand, contribute to efficiency, quality, etc. And having invested, then it's important to maintain the health and provide peace of mind. Alfaro, there's so much flexibility with what can be done. And that's what I love about software development. I mean, it's just limited by our imagination and realistically budgets. Well, Alfaro, I guess it's time to wrap up. I hope this segment has helped to provide a better understanding of the spectrum of approaches available. And in the end, one size doesn't fit all. So as we discussed, software dev is so much more at ProServe IT. It is a range of options. We've discussed out of the box, customizations, automations, integration, creation, and finally, let's not forget support. So with that, we'd like to say thank you for taking time out of your day to spend with us. And I hope you'll tune into our next session where we'll be doing a bit of a deeper dive on some of these topics. Thank you.
Thank you.